I think it's very important that we move away from a command and control approach to young people in media. That's approached by the idea that we can just censor everything and pull the plug and stop them. I think it's an approach that not only denies young people a say in their media consumption, it's one that is doomed to fail in the online and mobile media eras for many reasons I can't go into here. But I think it's just not going to work, let alone the fact that I think it's ethically wrong. We need to take the focus off research which asks what the media does to young people and put it on research which asks what they do with it. We need to get young people into the debate, and we need a lot more empirically sound research about how the media works in their everyday lives. There is a lot of heated debate in Australia about the alleged damage the media does to young people, but compared to the research being undertaken in Europe, and particularly the UK, there is a paucity of thoughtful and rigorous research that tells us what young people do with media and what meanings they take from it. We need to use research to generate evidence-based approaches to education, public and industry policy. Now, in terms of this issue of young people and media, one of the recommendations Dr. Aubrey and I put to the Senate inquiry, that we think there needs to be a federally coordinated approach to education, particularly the sex education curriculum, about media consumption and young people. And what we say is that that should be approached through thinking about the important role the media plays in giving young people information about love, sex and relationships. And there'll be people who say, well, sex education, you know, I don't want my kids learning values that conflict with mine. To that I would say, let's get values into the debate. If you're pro-abstinence-based education, let's look at the evidence for that. We've got a small sample called the US that we could have a look at there. But sure, bring abstinence education into it, put it on the table, get the young people to debate it and look at the evidence for it, and get people to argue for and against it. And part of this whole conversation should be media-based stuff. If we're worried about young boys going online and looking at pornography and what that does to their attitudes to women, let's talk about attitudes to women and pornography. Let's get that out in the open and start discussing it. I'd also say that and this is where I'm almost finishing, the media industries are right across the board when it comes to content self-regulated in Australia. Now, lots of them, and as Wendy said, she and I are on the Advertising Standards Board together, and that gets a lot of criticism in the public sphere. But Wendy and I both know that the people on that board were very committed to the process and very genuine about it. And but I understand that people from the outside say, well, who are these people? What's going on? And I didn't even know there was a board to complain to. And for most people, media regulation, looking at it from the outside, is like a bowl of spaghetti. The media is everywhere. You know, what's the difference between an ad on TV and a show on TV and an ad in a magazine? It's very unclear who to complain to about what. So what Dr. Aubrey and I are proposing is that the media industries need to put serious funding into working with the federal government to set up a one-stop shop where media consumers can go and have their complaints directed, including young people, that there could be a forum on that site that allows young people and other media consumers to talk openly about their concerns, and that there should be an obligation on industry and government to be responsive, to show responsiveness to what is concerning people. And finally, that those sites could be a place to download educational resources and information so that young people and their parents have a place to go to facilitate their dialogue. And also teachers have a place to go to get young people talking. And when I mention that, and this is where I'm closing, I would say that that kind of focus on public participation as well as education, and public participation in the sense of getting the voices of consumers into media research, but also encouraging that as a broader principle around media policy and practice, is something that I think everyone at the centre believes in. And I'll finish by just saying how proud we are that Kate Crawford, who went to 2020, at that 2020 summit, got a lot of notice for her public participation proposal for an online citizens cabinet with a central portal where citizens could all see what's being debated, make submissions and share views that would be tied to accountability structures. And I think that that's a kind of framework and an ethic that defines the sort of work we want to be doing. And I want to thank you all very much for coming and listening.